So we've all solved with systems of equations in the past. I know you guys did it for sure in Algebra 2. Pretty sure you guys did it in Algebra 1, so this is not new stuff. We can solve systems of equations by substitution or by elimination. 7.1 is all about substitution. The last class asked, do I have to use substitution on the homework? You can do whatever you want on the homework, but if you're not comfortable doing substitution, I would practice solving with substitution. And some of, like when it has, for example, example 3, when it has an x squared, you can't solve with elimination, so it would have to be substitution. But
example 1, it's like it's set up for elimination.
It's set up for elimination, but we're going to solve with substitution. So in this box, it gives us a step-by-step on how to solve. The most important is solve one of the equations for one variable in terms of the other. So we want it to either be y equals or x equals, and then everything else on the other side. All right, so for example 1, we can pick either the first equation or the second equation, and we can pick which variable we want to solve for. Any suggestions? Okay, it doesn't matter. We can do x on the bottom, since that's what Gio said.
Wait, this is substitution?
This is substitution. So we have to get one of our variables all by itself, and then equal to the other one. So I'm solving for x on the bottom, so that means I have to move y to the other side. So this is x is equal to 2 plus y. So x is 2 plus y. I'm going to take this and substitute it in for x in my other equation. You can't plug it into the same one that you just worked with. You have to plug it into the other one. So here I have 2 plus y is equal to 4. What should I do next? I can subtract 2 on both sides, and I'll add the y's together. So this is 2y is equal to 2. Then divide both sides by 2. So I'm just solving for y. Y is equal to 1. So that's one of our solutions, part of one of the solutions. How do I find the other? How do I find x? Plug in y. It doesn't matter. We can plug it into the first equation or the second equation. I would always just look and see like which one the math looks a little bit easier to plug in. So I would probably say the first. I don't know, because just it's positive. So I have x plus y was 1 is equal to 4. So
plug that y into the negative 9x.
Yes, you can plug it into either equation. So I plugged it into y in the first one. Just make sure when you're plugging it in, you plug it into whatever that variable is. So I couldn't plug 1 in for x because that wouldn't work. Y is equal to 1, so plug in 1 for y. So then solve for x. I get x is equal to what? 3. And then we have to write our answer as a coordinate point. So 3, 1, x, and then y. All right, example 3. So example 3 looks a little bit different because one of our equations has an x squared. We will have to factor. But what we want to do first is solve the equation that doesn't have the x squared for the variable that's not the squared one. So here we're going to solve the second equation for y. Because if I solved this equation for x and got x is equal to something, I would have to plug in whatever that is in here and then square it, and it's just a lot more work for us. Solve the second equation for y. So I'm going to subtract 2x on both sides. So negative y is equal to negative 1 minus 2x, and then divide everything by negative 1. So y is equal to 1 plus 2x. Once I get y all by itself, what can I do? Plug it in. So I'm going to take that, plug it into y in my other equation. So we're plugging this in for y. So I have x squared plus 4x minus y, which is 1 plus 2x, is equal to 7. Now I'm solving for x. So what should I do next? distribute the negative. So I have x squared plus 4x minus 1 minus 2x is equal to 7. Anytime that you plug in an equation, make sure you're plugging it in with parentheses because we have to distribute the negative. A common mistake is that people will not plug it in parentheses and only make it -1 but plus 2, and that'll throw off your whole answer. So anytime you plug in an equation, plug it in with the parentheses. What can I do next? Combine like terms. I'm going to move the 7 to the other side and combine like terms. So I have x squared plus 2x minus 8 is equal to 0. We just factor.
I mean, you could use it, right?
You can use the quadratic and it'll simplify to a number. So factor if you can. So what are two factors of -8 that add to 2? 2 and? Which one's negative? -2. So we have x minus 2, x plus 4 is equal to 0. So set them both equal to 0. So x is equal to 2, and x is equal to -4.
So we're not going to have to use the quadratic at all for this chapter?
So we have 2 x's, so we're going to end up with 2 y's. So first thing I want to do is plug in x is equal to 2. Which equation do you think would be easier to plug in? The second one. Definitely the second one. We're not done yet. We have to find the y's. All right, so I plug 2 in. And then just solve for y. So 4 minus y is equal to -1. Subtract 4. Negative y is equal to -5. So y is equal to 5. So my first coordinate point would be 2, 5. X then y. Do the same thing for -4. So I have 2 times -4. I'm just plugging this one into our second equation now. Minus y is equal to -1. -8 minus y is equal to -1. Add 8. Negative y is equal to 7. So y is equal to -7. So my second answer is -4, -7. So these are my two solutions.
You have to write them.
So again, we are solving by substitution. Which equation should I solve for which variable first? The top one solve for y, perfect. Because I have this x squared, so I don't want to solve for x first because then I'm going to have to square it. So the top one solve for y. So add x to both sides. So I have y is equal to 4 plus x. What do I do with that? Plug it into the other equation, and it's y equals, so I'm plugging it into y. So I have x squared plus 4 plus x is equal to 3. So x squared, I'm going to subtract 3 to the other side. So x squared plus x plus 1 is equal to 0. I just rewrote it in standard form because I have an x squared, so I know I'm going to have to factor. Do I have two factors of 1 that adds to 1?
No.
Nope. So this would be no solution. So example 2 says a total of $12,000 is invested in 2 funds paying 9% and 11% simple interest. The yearly interest is $1,180. How much is invested at each rate? So I have to turn this into a systems of equations. So I'm going to have two equations with two variables, and I'm going to have to solve it the same way I just did with the other ones. So I have a total of $12,000, and $1,180 is invested with interest, the interest rate, whatever. So how do you think I should set up an equation?
$12,000 equals 9x times y. No.
X plus y equals 1200.
x plus y is equal to 12,000 because x and y are how much you're paying at each percent. So that's the total amount. You're paying x dollars and you're paying y dollars, so that adds up to the total. And then what would our second equation be?
Not the 0.09x plus 0.11y equals 1,180.
Yes, because 1,180 is how much we're paying in interest, and we're paying at these percents for the interest. So the interest all goes together, then the totals amount go together. So how can I solve using substitution? I can solve the first one for y, so I'm going to subtract x on both sides. So my new first equation is going to be y equals 12,000 plus minus x, because I subtracted x on both sides. So y is equal to this. So what do I do with that? Plug it into the bottom equation for y. So I have 0.09x plus 0.11 times 12,000 minus x is equal to 1,180. Now what do I need to do to solve? Distribute first. So 0.09x, what's 0.11 times 12,000? 1,320? Maybe. I'll let you guys know. What do I do next? Combine like terms, so I'm going to move 1320 to the other side and then add these two together, so I get negative 0.02x is equal to negative 140, and then divide both sides by negative 0.02. So what's negative 140 divided by negative 0.02? 7,000. This was x. How do I find y?
Plug it into the easiest equation.
Plug it. Which one's easier?
The top one.
The top one. So I'm going to plug it in to the first equation here. So I have 7,000 plus y is equal to 12,000. Subtract 7,000 on both sides. Y equals 5,000. So we would leave our answer as the question says, how much is invested at each rate? So we invest $7,000 at what rate? We invest $7,000 at what rate? At 9%, because I decided to pick x to multiply to the 0.09. So that's at 9%. So 7,000 at 9%. And then 5,000 was at what rate? So $5,000 at 11%. So this is how we would leave our answer. All right, so example 6. It says a small business invests $10,000 in equipment to produce a new soft drink. Each bottle of the soft drink costs 65 cents to produce and is sold for $1.20. How many bottles must be sold before the business breaks even? So we set up two equations. The cost of producing the bottles, which the cost is equal to the cost per bottle times the number of bottles sold plus the initial cost. For these types of equations, you will set it up this way always. So it's not always going to be bottles. It may be like pencils. So it'll be the cost per pencil, how many pencils you sold, plus the initial.
Is this like a formula?
Yes. So that'll always be this way. So this is our first equation. It gives it to us. How lovely. It's different. And then the question asks, how many bottles must be sold to break even? So we have to find the cost and the revenue, and we break even when the cost is equal to the revenue. So the revenue is the price per bottle times the number of bottles sold. So this is our second equation. So we need to find out, when does our revenue equal the cost? So we set the revenue equal to the cost. So it'll be 0.65x plus 10,000. Can you guys see that color on there? Okay, good. 10,000 is equal to, so that's the cost, is equal to the revenue, which is 1.20 times x. So we just set them equal. This, because the break-even point occurs when r is equal to c, that is an answer on WebAssign for one of the multiple choice questions. One of the got questions. You break even when revenue is equal to the cost. Revenue is how much money is coming in. So each bottle's $1.20, and then if I sell 100 bottles, I would multiply that by 120 to see how much money is coming in. But this is
profit, basically.
right. All right.
Oh, no, okay.
So we're gonna solve for x. So subtract 0.65 on both sides, 0.65x. So I get 10,000 is equal to 0.55x. Divide both sides by 0.55. So what's 10,000 divided by 0.55? 18,181.8, but we would round it to 2 because you can't sell 0.8 of a bottle. So we just round it. Oops, it's not dollars, it's bottles. We're going to do the second one first. Because it's...
Why did Miss Meadows?
We're going to do the other one next. But there's one below this? Oh, yes, the bottom equation. That one would be a lovely one to start with because we have y all by itself. So we can get y equals a lot easier. So we want to solve for y.
Is that a 41?
Yes, it is 41 over 4. Okay, so first thing I want to do is subtract 3/4 x on both sides.
Gio, did you figure this one out?
And I'm going to divide by -1 also. So I have y is equal to -4 plus 3/4 x. So I just changed the sign of everything. So now I'm going to take this and plug it into y in the other equation. But before I do that, to make my life a little bit easier, what is one way that I can get rid of fractions in the first equation? Not decimals. Multiply everything by 4. Amazing. So we're going to multiply everything here by 4.
Why by 4?
Because our denominator is 4, so it'll cancel out with all of the denominators. Like if I had a denominator here that was 3 and another one that was 7, I would want to multiply everything by 21 to get the 3 and the 7 to cancel out. So we multiply everything by 4. So what's 1/2 times 4?
2.
So this would be 2x. The 4's cancel here, so plus 3y is equal to, the 4's cancel here, 41. Now I can take this and plug it into y. So 2x plus 3 times -4 plus 3 over 4x is equal to 41. Now I just solve. We know how to solve these. We've proved that we know how to do these. It's just fractions, so it will take a little bit longer. Distribute first. So 2x minus 12. This will be plus 9 over 4x is equal to 41.
Is Brandon okay? I don't know.
Add 12. So this is 2x plus 9 over 4x is equal to 53. What's next? I'm going to combine like terms, and I need a common denominator. So my common denominator is going to be 4 to add 2x plus 9 over 4x. So I need my denominator to be 4. So I'm going to make this 8 over 4x. So I just multiplied the top and the bottom here by 4. So now I can add these together. 17 over 4x is equal to... Multiply by 4. So 17x is equal to, what's 53 times 4? 212. And then divide by 17. We're going to leave our answer as a fraction. So this is x. How do I find y? Plug it in. Which equation do you think it would be better to plug into?
The bottom.
This one?
Oh, could you do it 2 ways?
We could do this one if we wanted to too.
No, why would you do that?
But I'm going to plug it into this one because it looks a little bit easier since the y doesn't have a coefficient. So I'm going to plug it in. So again, you can plug it into whatever you want. Just take a look and see which one looks like it would be less math to do. A little bit easier to work with. So 3/4 times 212 over 17 is equal to, or minus y, is equal to 4. If I didn't have a calculator, I would first divide by 4. So 212 divided by 4 is 53. And what's 53 times 3? 159 divided by 17 minus y is equal to 4. So I can subtract 4 on both sides and add y. My y's look like 4s. So this is now y is equal to 159 over 17 minus 4. And now how do I combine these together? I need a common denominator, so I'm going to make this 4, what? 68, you said?
Yeah.
68 over 17. So I multiplied the top and the bottom by 17. So what is 159 minus 68?
91.
So 91 over 17 is equal to y, and then we have to write our answer again as a coordinate point. So we get 212 over 17, comma 91 over 17. What should I solve for first? Y in which equation? Y in the top one. So I'm going to subtract both sides by 5x. So I have y is equal to 7 minus 5x. What do I do with this now? Substitute it into y. So I have x cubed minus 7 plus 7 minus 5x is equal to 0. The 7's cancel because I have a negative 7 and a positive 7. X cubed minus 5x is equal to 0. So take out an x, I have x squared minus 5 is equal to 0. So x is equal to 0, and x squared minus 5 is equal to 0. Solve for x, so x squared is equal to 5. What does x equal here? Plus or minus the square root of 5. So I technically have 3 solutions here. I have x is equal to 0. X is equal to the positive square root 5, and x is equal to negative square root 5.
Are we supposed to graph this stuff?
I don't think so. Maybe. I don't remember. We'll see when we get there. All right. So now I need to find my 3 y's. So I'm going to plug it into the first one because it looks a lot easier. So I'm plugging in 0 for x. If I plug in 0 here, it'll be y is equal to 7. Oops, 7. So my first point, 0, comma 7. because 0 is an answer. So then I plug in square root 5 for x. So it's 5 square root 5 plus y is equal to 7. Subtract both sides by 5 square root 5. So y is equal to 7 minus 5 square root 5. And then I have to write my answer as a point. So this will be square root 5, comma, 7 minus 5 square root 5.
That's
Not pretty, but it's still an answer.
Would you substitute like ration? I don't know the term, but like make it into decimals.
You just leave it like this. So next we have 5 times negative square root 5 plus y is equal to 7.
minus 5.
So it becomes a negative, so I would add 5 square root 5 to both sides. Wait, because it's a negative.
Oh, yeah, 'cause it's not like even the.
Right. So y is equal to 7 plus 5 square root 5. And we write it as parentheses. So negative square root 5. 7 plus 5 square root 5.